listen, gentlemen, we have to get into this Nintendo thing. And I got to go right back to King David, which, by the way, did an incredible video. Look, I've said this before, folks, and I want it to be clear. I make no excuses for being a Nintendo nerd. I'm a fan, diehard through and through. But I got to tell you, every day that passes or has passed since the unveiling of this Switch 2, it has been one flubber after another. I mean, I just think the amount of rakes Nintendo has stepped on, and you ask, is it going to affect sales? Are people still going to line up to get a Switch 2? Well, I want to line up to get a Switch 2 at $500 with Mario Kart World for me and my nephew, because we play together on a regular basis. It's a family thing. It's not just I want to be a Nintendo nerd and just drive around by myself. I want to play with him. And of course, when there's an Animal Crossing sequel, I'll buy that console for Mrs. Boom, and we will do what we do every day. We'll play Animal Crossing and have fun. It's a family thing for us. But that, unfortunately, King David, has been marred by tariffs, which, again, we don't like politics here, but is a reality to what's happening. And, of course, $80 games nobody wanted. Nintendo was the first one to show up to the door to not only ask for 80, but for 90. And they made mention, and thanks for Kay Asante putting in this old man's brain, they used a bunch of words that is very concerning, and variable pricing should scare any gamer. Variable pricing says that on a Tuesday, Bowser could wake up and say, you know what? This next Zelda game, we love it so much, it's going to cost you guys and gals $100, $99.99. Good luck, Charlie Brown. And like, for me, like I'm clear as glass. Like you folks know that I have 107 physical Switch games, and I have 60. I counted them, 60 digital games. I buy a lot of Nintendo games. What unfortunately this is going to do for me is I'm only buying the mainstays. Like, I'll never buy a Mario Golf or a Mario Tennis, because I like those games. I play with Tyler, right? I play with my nephew, and we have fun. But I don't play it enough to justify an $80 Mario Tennis. So again, King, you did a video where you went in on Nintendo. I'm hoping you could bring that same flavor to tonight's show. Please take it away with Nintendo.
Okay, so the fact that 12 years ago, Xbox told you that they were going to be always on and they was going to have some form of DRM, and you guys hated it. Oh, we can't stand them. Nintendo comes out, does the same exact thing, and they do it worse, far more egregious. They don't even put their Kinect in a box for $500. They just gave you a game that they was able to sell you for $49.99 any goddamn way. But you said, I love it. Why? They gave you 5-year-old hardware. That hardware is old. And y'all said, I love it. Y'all eating it up by buckets. You know what's the most egregious thing? Every day we find out new information. New information. You know what I found out today? I found that GameCube controller only works with the GameCube app.
Yeah, it doesn't work with any of the games at all except for the GameCube app. Ridiculous.
They gave you DRM for your controller. Yo, who are these dudes? Like,
they put a controller behind a paywall.
Yo, it's a bug. You pay for the controller, but can't control shit. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, it's all right. That's okay. No, we're grown men. Please, by all means. This is one of those. You got to let the steam out, sir. Please let it out.
So if you don't have their online, okay, listen. Have you ever heard putting blinders on a horse? You're the horse, and these are the blinders, and they're steering you where they want you to go. It's a reason why digital games are cheaper, because they want you to go to digital. It's a reason why they have a family share program, because they want you to make sure that you get onto the online. It's a reason why their online stuff everything is tied to the online. That chat stuff, you better be online. That camera stuff, better be online. Everything needs to be online for it to work. When Xbox said it, Xbox bad. Nintendo said, Nintendo good. And I don't want to hear, well, the times are different. Yeah. You've been greased up, lubed up, and beat up all these years that now you just accept any damn thing. And you said, thank you, sir, may I have another? And you're just sitting there, and every day it gets worse and worse. And you just sitting there smiling like, I can't wait till the 5th. Look at you. You got your money out, ready to rock. And I can't believe you idiots. And let me tell you something. Again, me getting a Switch 2 is a write-off. I'm going to do an unboxing on my channel. I'm going to show you. I have Frontline Gaming streams where I stream games daily. Yes, I'm streaming my Switch. My Switch is right here, right now. I stream it. Yeah. You know what I don't do that Boom does? Boom has 100 and some odd physical games. I have 10. Okay.
You know what? They have a high resale value. So if I ever became Poe, I can go and sell them and I'd be all right, right?
Listen, they absolutely do, because the Nintendo will never cut down a price. I got a Wii U in there that's still factory price right now. All right. So I know who they are. They're the guys that got their ass kicked with the Wii U, humbled themselves, got down on their knees, was very quiet, said, we don't want to compete, while they quietly built 140 million install base. When they reached that magic number, they went bonk bananas. The level of hubris on this company, the fact that Doug Bowser can come out and say,
talk about it.
We know that the Switch 2 is a little bit pricey and the online stuff that we have going on, but the ecosystem that we've made, we also have a Switch for you.
He pulled a Donnie D, bro. He pulled a Donnie D.
Metric said the same thing and you vilified him. And remember, who was doing that interview? That was Jeff. All right? Don't ever forget the guy that stabbed you first. Okay? All right? Don't ever forget it. All right, so when he said that thing up there, one more thing, he was just twisting the knife because he already put it in before. He helped you die that generation. Now, is this going to equate to Nintendo dying? Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, no. You know why? Because at the end of the day, Nintendo has built up a level of clout with you idiots that is going to resonate no matter what. Why? Because we are gamers. And when I say you idiots, I'm included. I'm included. Now, you got people out there saying, well, the Xbox people are going to gravitate to Nintendo. Listen, first of all, this is not a cult. We are gamers, all right? And as a gamer, I have absolutely everything. And I'm never going to tell you, I'm never going to be disingenuous to you. I'm never going to tell the fan base, don't buy anything. I'm going to tell you to try everything. And I'm also going to tell you to buy it at the low. But I'm glad Nintendo did this, because what it did was highlight how Xbox is the most customer friendly, the most friendly gaming consumer product that's on the market today. Now, one of them is putting their first party games in Game Pass and whatever their service is. Their service is secondary to their product. Xbox product is secondary to their service. The platform is Game Pass. The experience is wrapped around the gamer. The gamer is central. If you heard Phil the other day, he expressly said, Xbox is not centered around one device. It's centered around the experience of the gamer, where you are center, where you have value. So if you see Nintendo not valuing you, hey, that's on you. If you see PlayStation not valuing you, hey, that's on you. But I want you to take a cold, hard look at who's looking at you, saying, for your money, we're going to give you the most. I want to know, who's going to give you Doom the Dark Ages, South of Midnight, Indiana Jones, Forza, Halo, everything for $20 a month? No. I want to know who's going to do that for you. And that show that you see in June, I want to know how many games that you love. And if you're on a competing platform, waiting and begging and hoping with the hope face, please, oh God, please send the game to me. Shut up and get an Xbox. or just get Game Pass and sit down. Because at the end of the day, Xbox is everywhere. With that LG news, you got a television, it's there. Whatever television you got, they in it. If you got Amazon, you all do, because you all like stuff shipping to you. You got it. Wake up. We are gamers. We are at a precipice now where your money starts to matter, because these guys are going to milk you dry. Pause. And be careful. If you continue to give them your bread so wholeheartedly, that variable rate is so egregious that they told you at any given time. See, think about it this way. Would you sign a variable mortgage rate? Hell no.
Hell no. Are you freaking kidding me?
1 month your mortgage is this, next month your mortgage is that. When that bubble pop, you pop. Hell no. Right? So if you won't do that there, why do that here? And I got to say this. The real price on that 5-year-old crappy hardware is $330. The reason why I can tell you that, because they gave their whole Japan a hometown discount.
Yeah, it's it's like $130 something cheaper. It's up there, dude. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They did that with the PlayStation 3. Yep. PlayStation did that. They launched with hard concrete prices in Europe and the United States. In Japan, they gave you a hard price on the lower 20 gig SKU, but on the 60 gig SKU, they left it up to the retail shop to come up whatever their price was going to be.
That was in your last video. It was a good one.
Yes. Man. And I'm telling you, people, if you don't start having pride in your dollar and you don't start treating the American company, because at the end of the day, we bleed green. Don't let these guys trick you out of your money. Don't let these companies get away with it. Raise a stink. You raise a stink with Xbox, you'll reverse that DRM, right? Make Nintendo reverse it. Make Sony reversed it. They saw the backlash. This is the reason why Sony put out that whole email to everybody. I got it. How do I feel about Nintendo? Oh, I gave them an earful. But Sony's going to still do what they're going to do. You got a $750 Pro right now. I'm just saying.
No, King, everyone's loving what you're talking about. You're spitting facts. And, before I bring Hargeet in, I got to bring a super $5 super chat from Alvin. Alvin says this, and this leads right into what we're talking about. He says, after dropping a very generous $5 super chat, Alvin says people wondered what the new innovation Nintendo would add to the Switch 2. Well, how about a pay-to-play C button, Don Matrix somewhere with a cigar laughing?
I call it the Cash App button.
You did say it was a Cash App button, and I nearly fell out of my seat when I was listening. Hargeet, listen, let's talk Nintendo. Look, you obviously were with us when the news broke. And this is one of those situations where since the unveiling of the Switch 2 and its pricing and the game prices, ultimately it was a great show. I loved it because I'm a Nintendo nerd and it had a lot of games there that I'm very excited for. Of course, having the GameCube app in there got me super excited because there's games I definitely want to play there. But ever since that unveiling, ever since the Nintendo Direct, the news continues to not only spiral out of control, but it seems to get worse. And again, if you didn't know what King was talking about, Doug Bowser, who is the president of the Nintendo of America, basically said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that he understands that there are going to be customers that can't afford to move to the Switch 2 for one reason or the other. And he basically said that is why we are still continuing the Switch 1. Now, it wasn't certainly as bad as Donnie D, but it is that same energy. And even though that 17-minute interview that he had more stuff in it, that is what a lot of people walked away with. And again, when Xbox did it, it nearly Xbox imploded, right? Like they nearly I mean, you look back to 2013 and it's still revered as one of the worst Xbox experiences ever. And now we have Nintendo, who doesn't give anything to their fans, who is basically going to charge anything and everything. And now we have in that interview the words being used of variable pricing, which again, shout out to that Blue Number who's a part of Brisket's show on Fridays. Did a really great tweet where she talked about how dangerous and how much of a slippery slope, variable pricing can be. Let's get your thoughts, man, because it just seems to be getting worse.
Oh no! I don't mind. Look, it's been nice that we've had this like sort of a lock-in price thing for probably about a couple of decades now, right?
Yes.
Before that, it was variable, and there was no set standard of anything. Nintendo started creating some standards, but really, it was still variable. So look, I don't expect every game to come out at $80 or $70 or anything like that. I think a lot of the Nintendo games are still going to be cheaper. But some of the mainline games will probably be $70. And then you have these oddities. I still think if they have like a mainline Zelda or a mainline Mario, they're probably going to charge more. And how much that is, I don't know. We'll see. They seem to think it's worth it from their perspective. But here's the problem: it'll work. It'll work. It's unfortunate, but it'll work. How many of us are going to skip those games? Well, maybe one or two of us will. Many of us won't. We'll just buy it anyway, and that's just unfortunately the way it goes. You could say the same thing for GTA. It's going to come out. You can all complain about it and say, "Oh, I won't spend this much." You'll spend it. You'll spend it. It's what it is. I'll look at the chart every freaking month. It'll say, "Oh, GTA sold." Okay, yeah, whatever. And what are we up to now? 40 million, 60 million. It doesn't matter. It's just gonna work. The sad part is it's going to work with Xbox. People could create this little kerfuffle and say, "Oh, we don't like Xbox," when the industry never liked them anyway. So whatever, it's not a huge thing. But with Nintendo, yeah, good luck. We'll see what happens. From a hardware perspective, I'll note that like the Xbox is also much cheaper in Japan. The PlayStation 5 is also cheaper in Japan. That is somehow a thing. I don't know why it needs to be a thing, but it is a thing. In Japan, for some reason, they have region-locked versions of their hardware. And what was that?
Nationalism.
But then why Xbox, right? And it's just they're all cheaper. And like if you look at Game Pass price in Japan, oh my God, it is such a steal. But it is what it is. That's the way it is over there. But the hardware is cheaper all across the board. It's cheaper over there. So whatever, that's whatever that is. As far as like the current stock of games, we have the one that's at $80. The rest of them, you have like Zelda, which Tears of the Kingdom came out at $70. They want to charge you a $10 uplift to get it to Switch 2 version, which is crap, but it is what it is. So, but those statements, oh my goodness.
Not good, man.
How the heck are you gonna did he forget what happened in 2013 when Xbox did this? Did he forget that happened? I mean, like, there's a level of hubris here, right? That you got to say, okay, they just think they're untouchable. The problem with that, I wouldn't really say you're untouchable. Unfortunately, now you're going to have to compete with other handhelds that are kind of making the market interesting, right? So, no, the Steam Deck isn't getting to the sales level of a Switch. Fair enough.
Right.
But you know what? The next couple of these devices that are going to start to become pretty good, they're going to compete well with this, and they'll have the entire PC library. And if Xbox does pull off this UI thing where it kind of works more like a console, you're going to have a pretty good competitor that says, yeah, okay, yes, Switch, you have your, you have your Nintendo exclusives, which unofficially you can play on PC.
Or NVIDIA Shield.
Or right. So or you can just get a device that plays everything, right? And you're going to have all your Xbox games, your PlayStation games, your EA games, your Ubisoft games, everything. All your Capcoms, everything is going to be there. And you get to play at the rate you want to. In other words, it doesn't have to be locked to, we decided 30 frames. Mm-hmm. No, it's whatever you want. You can bump the fidelity down, play it at 60, play it at 120. It's up to you. You choose, right? However much you want is up to you, right? And you give that choice to gamers and say, all right, which one do you want? Now, I still think Nintendo isn't going to go away. it's going to sell well enough. It's not going to do as dominantly as it did before because that was a cheap device that you could just buy and say, it's an impulse enough buy that I don't care, right? When it gets to about $400 or $500, it's not as much of an impulse anymore, is it? Now you have to think about it. And, maybe that cost comes down over time. Maybe it doesn't. And you have to kind of think about where that's going to go. And you then look at the equivalents on the other side. Maybe you can get something cheaper, but let's say it's around the same neighborhood, $500, $600, but you can play everything. Oh, and by the way, you can get Game Pass. You can get EA Play Pro. You can get Ubisoft Plus. And you suddenly have access to the libraries of games at a much cheaper cost. These things start to add up. And I don't know how much the discerning gamer is going to be at the Nintendo altar. A lot of that is us, because we grew up with it. We have nostalgia and keep playing those games.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of newcomers into the gaming world, in other words, children, they tend to play Roblox and Minecraft, and they actually prefer PC and mobile than they do anything else. We've been saying it over and over again. Yep. That's just what the market trend shows, right? So if they're going to play that, Fortnite, well, you can play that anywhere. And they don't really care that it's a Nintendo device. But look, there's some great games that come with that, and maybe that'll pull enough people in. Is it going to be enough to actually override it? I want to put some stats out there. Let's say we look at the Nintendo Switch with its 150-ish million. How many do you think are those 150 million? Are those the same customer bought 2 or 3 of them?
Oh, there's quite a few of them. I mean, I bought, I think,
I'm one of them.
6.
Just for me, there's the problem, right?
So and Mrs. Boom.
You can't even say it's 100 million customers, right? Because realistically, there's probably like 60, 70 million people who bought multiples of these things, right? There might be some that bought one, but it's probably in that range. It's a lot of people who bought multiples of them. And then you do the same thing with the other consoles. PC, on the other hand, that generally tends to be a 1-to-1. It doesn't always end up being 1-to-1, but in a lot of cases, it's 1-to-1. Here's your laptop, go play. Here's my desktop, I play. It generally tends to follow that. There's 1 billion players. That number is substantially higher. And that's the world that Xbox is looking to say, we own this. Why don't we take it and make it into something that's more user-friendly? Still give you the same power if you want it. Go ahead back to desktop if you want it. But here you go. We can give you a nice UI. Looks like your Switch. Looks like your PlayStation. Looks like your Xbox. Nice, simple interface. If you want to have that kind of experience, we got you covered. You want it in a portable? We got you covered. That world is going to be an interesting challenge to Nintendo. And as I said, yes, not officially, you can play those Switch games on a PC. So now you have an all-in-one device that plays everything.
Yeah.
And, if you're savvy enough to be on PC, you definitely know how to do the emulation. So it's not going to be as big a deal. This is kind of the thing. This is an interesting world to me. We will see how much this hampers their potential market. I don't usually like arrogance like this from a company because it usually follows with a fail. Right? Now, will this happen for Nintendo? Maybe not. Right? But
it happened to them once before with the 3DS. If you remember the 3DS when they came out with that,
it happened before, and I wouldn't suggest that it couldn't happen again. And they have lost console generations. That has happened before. So, and there are competitors that can make it more interesting. So we shall see if this works. It's one thing to offer options like, oh, we understand. Unfortunately, given the dynamics of what we're trying to do, it had to be this expensive because of the processor cost and all. That's a much better answer, right? At least it's more conciliatory versus, well, we got to switch one for those who don't have the money. That is a terrible way to make that statement. A terrible way to make that statement. You want to be conciliatory to your customer and say, we understand. We hope to drive the cost down. At this point, unfortunately, with the way things are, that is a much better way to say that. It's the same message. It's the same message. Screw off. You're going to pay this much. But
It's more
It just
politically
says
correct.
it in a way where it's like, we understand your concern. We're trying our best. We'll see what we can do to make it better. It gives the customer hope that you care. Of course, they don't give a shit. They just want your money. But
I like that he said tariffs had nothing to do with what we was going to do
he
to
let
you.
the cat out of the bag, and that was
yeah,
dumb.
no, had nothing to do
So,
with it.
yeah, we plan to do this to you regardless.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why people assumed it was tariffs, because if it was tariffs, then why is it expensive in Europe?
Yep.
Why is it expensive in Canada? Why
Yep.
It's expensive everywhere, because that was the price to begin with. Nothing to do with tariffs. Anyway, so now we'll see what the outcome of this is, right? There seems to be a bubbling of anger, right? You saw like at their Treehouse event, lower the price, lower the price, lower the price.
They had to shut up the comments.
Yeah. It was crazy, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so obviously there's some pushback, right? And this isn't from Xbox fans or even PlayStation fans. This is from Nintendo fans that are saying this, right? So, okay, this is an interesting place for them to be, right? They're starting to play again in that power narrative. You might not think so, but they are, and that's where they are, and that costs money. So now they're kind of getting pushback. It's like, okay, because if you're going to start playing the power narrative, then it's like, well, why aren't you better than your competitors? Why aren't you equal to your competitors? They are in some respects. I don't want to take that away. We haven't seen everything, but it looks pretty good. But it ain't beating the Series X and beating the PS5 Pro. Those are the top tiers that are available as your competitors. What are you going to do to compete with that? If you say, oh, I don't care to compete with that, well, then don't charge the same amounts. This is unfortunately what the customer will think, right? And that's kind of where it's at, right? The Series S, sure, it might beat it slightly, but the Series S is also $300. It's not $450, right? So there is a substantial difference now. And so this is kind of the world they're in. And this is a very interesting place. I can't believe he made those comments. You would think you would learn from history. That's a bad idea. It's happened before. PlayStation did it too, right? Get another job. Pay the $700, $600, whatever it was for that console for the PS3. They made the same stupid ass statement, and it cost them the generation. Like, you can't make that kind of statement. You're looking to make your customer engage. That is just not the right way to do it. At least in my opinion, that's a stupid idea. But
well, listen,
that is just the way it goes.
It's going to be very interesting to see exactly what happens, because there's no way they're going to sell as many consoles, and they're certainly not going to sell as many games when the games are $80. But Asante, you have some thoughts
we'll see about
regarding the Donnie D-esque statement from Doug Bowser. You also have your thoughts and theories of playing Switch games on PC handhelds, possibly. So before we get into it, let me just two things. We have Hollywood Rules drops in a generous $5 super chat and says, General King, Hargeet K, my fellow retired brother in blue, boom, Xbox Thunderbolts have formed. Xbox is on a roll now. Great show. Thank you so much for the generosity and the kind words, brother. Glad that you're, aren't we glad to be retired? Just this world is just crazy. Has earned his name. Asante, take it away, bro. Let me get your thoughts.
I think they should allow you to have like a t-shirt that says I am 50 plus years old and you just got smoked by me. You just want to be able to stuff it in people's faces every time you smoke people. Anyway,
oh man, I wish I could put that on my character. I'm 50 and I just killed you. How do you feel?
And I just smoked you. How do you feel? No,
Change the gamer tag to I am 50.
That's right. That's right.
I'm 50 plus.
That's right. So okay, so how I feel about this Nintendo stuff? Very interesting. First off, I wanted to address the whole Hargeet, the thing that Hargeet said, which was, have they not learned the lesson? Have they not? I think you know far more about those historical reference points than Doug Bowser ever will. Like, he has no recollection. Like, even though logically us gamers and those of us who pay attention to this stuff go, ooh, that was a hard lesson you learned. Just like the same lesson that PlayStation learned when they told you to get a second job for a console. So they're not going to fall on their sword and make the same dumb mistake. Like, I don't think Doug Bowser knows any of those points. I don't think he knows that. I don't think he can't recall. I don't think he's like that, right? Like, that's not He's not about that life, is what I'm saying. And as such, since you do not know your history, you of course are doomed to repeat it. Hey, it is what it is. You know, we shall see if they are doomed to repeat it or not. But so, okay. How do I feel about this thing in general? Full disclosure, I have a pre-order in because we are all pay pigs. Yeah. Forgive me. I must admit that to you right now. I have a pre-order in. I am a worldly man, so my pre-order is in the UK, and it'll get to me on the 12th. It is what it is. Because I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting my, as they say. I put all the slander out, and now I'm gonna get serious. Okay, so I really think that the problem here is that we have allowed this to be what it is for a very long time, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and people keep protecting them, right? And I'm not singling Nintendo out specifically, but obviously Nintendo's the one that brought themselves to the firing squad, so these bullets are for them, right? But we keep, as gamers, as people, rewarding bad behavior, and then it just kind of festers and gets worse and worse, and that's obviously where we are today. Like, honestly, what I think will happen here with Nintendo, if the pricing stands, and you know, we the whole tariffs thing, you know, I think all of this is a damn smokescreen, so that when they bring it back down to 450, people go, ooh, it's just 450, even though, god damn it, it's 450. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what they're doing right now. And of course, you know, they have the magical T word to hide behind, so all that just kind of gets lost in the sauce. It is what it is, right? Ultimately, we all know this. We are gamers. We've been here for a very long time. It's a cyclical thing where you fly too close to the sun, you singe off your eyebrows, and you got to go come back down to earth. Xbox did it. We see what happened to them. PlayStation did it. We saw what happened to them. Nintendo did it, right? And now they're and then of course when they did that, right, they were brought back down to earth, right? And every time they are brought back down to earth, you know what happens? Innovation. Because when Xbox was brought back down to earth, Game Pass became a thing, and backwards compatibility became a very, very full passionate initiative to win back the consumer base. Right? When PlayStation 3 singed their eyebrows off, what happened? All of a sudden, their development pipeline got streamlined. They went x86. Now all of a sudden, they're all part of the indies, and Nintendo, but PlayStation loves their indies. And that's how they came back to it, right? Same thing happened with the Wii U. What happened? They did. This is a cyclical thing. So I honestly don't see them as, oh my God, and they're being ridiculous. It is just their time. And once they're done, it'll be somebody else's time, and we will laugh at them as well. But to King David's point, though, the reason why we can laugh is because it becomes a bad memory after we all fight the good fight, and they relent. And like that wonderful meme, that black and white meme, we put our revolvers back into our holsters, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, you seen that meme, that old dude, he just goes, oh yeah, okay. But that's not the time right now. The revolvers are still out. So please continue to keep the revolvers out, because if you don't, this will quietly become a coup. And what I mean by that is you will see that inevitable variable pricing dystopia, because that's where we're going. 100%. That's where we're going, right? 100%. And mark my words, if you see that variable pricing word, like, they don't know it yet. And I don't know why they don't know it yet, because that's ridiculous. But 1 + 1 = 2. I'm a parent. I have 2 little ones. We have, like, in this house alone, and let me be real, right? Y'all know me. I game on everything. Switch is probably the last thing I game on these days, because I have so many devices I can game on, and my kids they play on the Switch. I game with my kids on the Switch. Even me, who's not like a primary Switch gamer, who's not even a secondary Switch gamer, I have about 5 Switches in this house. Mm-hmm. That is not happening with Switch 2.
Yep.
Right. I was on the record for day one, because, you know, the first batch are usually the most susceptible. I was down day one for at least 2 or 3. Now I got 1, and I'm gonna keep looking at with the side eye, because I'll be honest with you, as the great Hargeet Chani has said, there are other choices in the market at the same damn price, and they do more. Everything. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the Odin 2 portal, look it up. It is insane, the world we find ourselves, where Nintendo and all of them get to a place where They are so confident in their capabilities that it's like, yeah, you'll buy us because we are who we are.
Right.
That's what PlayStation did on PC. They flew too close to the sun. They had to get their eyebrows singed a little bit. Now they're coming back down to earth. And that's clearly what Nintendo is doing here. And to King David's point blank, I know people will push back against me. I know people will do all of this. You guys are looking at and buying their version of a PS5 Pro.
Yep.
Okay? That's what you're buying. 100%. Now, why do I say that? Because listen to the statement that Bowser made, right? Now, let me be clear. There's two ways of seeing this thing, right? And I hear you, and I hear that the points that everybody's making on the internet, the Donnie D of it all. I feel you. I do. But there's one way, and I agree with the way Hargeet frames the picture, right? But there's also another way of looking at it. They are so susceptible to loss at this point. They were so scared by Wii U, but that in the Switch generation, they were very humble. They were hoping for the best, and it blew up beyond their wildest dream. And do you know what? King David will tell you right now, as a business owner himself, the number one biggest fear in business, especially publicly traded business, is exponential growth, like ridiculous exponential growth. Because last year's ceiling becomes next year's floor, and you have to keep sustaining it. And there's no world where they're going to sustain a Switch at ridiculous. Hell no. So my theory is they're not even trying. The Switch ain't going nowhere. Nowhere. The actual ecosystem, the architectural base is still tied to Switch 1 technology.
Yep.
There's a reason they've been hunting Yuzu like they're the criminals of the earth. It's because they don't want you to play Switch 2 games day one on PC. That's why. Because you can. Nothing's changed from the development pipeline. Nothing's changed. King David's talking about their innovation. They've done a lot of innovation. A lot of innovation on this handheld. But all of the innovation, 95% of the innovation has been in the area of stopping you from dumping your game.
That part.
That's all. Oh, the wonderful cart, digital. Oh, the online check-in, digital. Everything they have done has to stop you from being able to do what you were able to do with Switch 1 day one, which was dump your games and play it in a better location. I mean, the online check-in, all of that. That's what all of that inoculates them from. Stopping you from being able to dump your own games so that you can't play it anywhere else and have to pay the variable pricing they choose. Yeah. So, I say all of this to say, yes, I say all this to say, mark my words, clip it, because I know y'all will. If this stands, this will lead to a very long generation. This will lead to the secondary market, meaning old people buying it for a long time. Look at all the other countries that don't have consoles that they get quickly. The secondary market lasts forever. And guess what? Them high seas, bro, they is treacherous.
Yeah.
It's gonna go down because you're making the market difficult to succeed. You're making it difficult for yourself to succeed. And guess what game is gonna do? Game is gonna game.
Yep.
Whether you let us do it one way or another way.
Or the other.
Easy way or the hard way. We gonna game.
Right? And the best part about this whole equation is when they did this move in Switch 1, they were the only game in town. Right? And as Hargeet is saying, I agree with him, the Ally is not gonna peel off any market share. The Legion Go is not a peel off any market share. Y'all don't even know when when I say the AYN Odin 2 portal. You don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But all those teeny tiny slices of the pie together take a big piece out of their ass, and they need that dollar.
Yeah.
And the more they act this way, the more these guys will get more and more popular. So bring it on.
I mean, and to that case, Ante, the PlayStation Portal, we thought that was going to fail miserably. It actually did pretty well, and they're looking to do one that does local gameplay.
Yeah,
right. It's $200.
Xbox is coming up with one, and at some point you just got to say, all right, is this enough at $450? Right.
And you know what?
say, well,
you know what, Hargeet? Actually, I'll even do you one better. It's great you bring that up. You know how when we saw Switch 1 and we were like, what the heck is this? And oh, it's interesting. And it's not knowing that we were staring at a 7 to 10 year device. I will dollars to donuts. This is not a 7 to 10 year device. This is a 4-year device at best, if you are lucky. After that, it will be what it always was. A Switch, what do you call it? First party delivery device. It will like right now they're setting themselves up as, hey, we play Cyberpunk, right? They'll play GTA 6, great. But will they play like The Witcher 4?
No.
Will they play like the 4 years from now? I am not so sure.
So.
I think they'll play in 4 years from now, Hargeet. I think they'll play. Let me finish real quick. I think they'll play those games like they play The Witcher 3 now, which is like, oh my God, do you see that thing actually works? But who's really going to actually play that thing?
Yeah.
Like Mortal Kombat 1. It works, but really.
It comes down to actual specs we just don't know.
Yes.
Right? What we have is all paper with no actual data.
Notice
we don't know
didn't give no
what the
specs.
CPU runs at.
Yes.
Right? We don't know what the GPU
and everything,
runs at.
So, but we do know the architecture. We know that it's basically a second gen architecture. We know that it's running a third gen process and a second gen architecture. We also know what the games look like that they've shown us. And so far, it's been a good, but it's not like oh my God, this is the next gen. And it could just be that they're not really well versed in the hardware just yet, but still.
Yeah, if you see the comparison of some of the games, right, it's not bad. Yeah. It actually looks really good. It's very close to a PS5. Mm-hmm. It's not quite there, but it's there. It usually outclasses the Series S, which is a current gen, right? It is a current gen. But here's the thing.
That's also not necessarily been. That's not necessarily been
we haven't seen it
sustained
in actuality, right? We haven't seen it in actuality. We will get that when we actually have the device in hand and actually be able to do real tests. But the difference is if it has a CPU better than the Xbox One, right? Because that's pretty. I guess
I'm pretty sure it doesn't. I thought it had a better GPU, but definitely not a better CPU.
So that's the question, right?
Yeah.
If it has a
and
higher
it is also downclock
ability. Right. Yeah. And that's all the stuff we need to realize, right? Understand. Mm-hmm. The PS4, I think it was 1.6 gigahertz, 8 cores, something like that, right? So if it's 3 gigahertz, if it's 2.5 gigahertz, it very well could potentially.
It could.
Mm-hmm. We don't know yet, and this is the stuff. Yes. Until we get some, this is why, when people started going crazy about the PS5 Pro, I'm like, dude, let it come out. We'll do the actual evaluation when it comes out, and then we'll know what it can actually do. We can see some pictures and say, oh my God. Well, actually, when we saw the first pictures of the PS5 Pro, we're like, here's a magnifying glass. What the hell's different?
And by the way, another point, Hargeet, remember, people are now very much in the world of, they've finally come to a closer world to higher performance in consoles, which closer than before, absolutely. But it's still a mobile development processor. And still a mobile development process. They are the day they come to x86, then it'll be min-spec world and Nintendo will kill everyone. I guarantee it. The day they release a hardware that runs the same underlying code as Microsoft, underlying architecture as Microsoft and Sony, they will take it over because everybody just loves Nintendo games. But until they do that, even if they do this, everyone will still enjoy min-spec, and then you have to go port it for them.
Look,
in some ways, that last?
I hope they have a horrible launch. They won't. I hope they have a horrible launch, because then they'll get inch closer towards those. A little later, we'll put the game out on PC.